Hello everybody and welcome back to another tier list video on the Script Heroes channel. We are doing essentially a spiritual sequel to our Image ranking tier list as we jump to the other 90s new comic book company, Valiant. So we're going to be ranking the first year of Valiant issue 1/0s, whatever came out first for the given title. We've got, I think, 9 books to talk about this
I
time.
believe so, yeah. And Jay, you have some experience with Valiant. You've
Yes,
read
mostly
some
not the
modern Valiant.
original 90s stuff, other than Exo Manowar, because I've read most of Exo Manowar, like, just in general. But I've read, like, other Valiant things, but the, like, later Valiant things when it comes to the rest of the of these characters. And even then, not much outside of Exo Manowar. So a lot of this was still new to me. Well, actually, in terms of the literal issues, everything except Exo Manowar was new to me. So,
And
yeah.
I have never even encountered these characters before. All of my experience with
Which is wild.
Valiant is selling comics of them. Like I'm like, okay, I recognize these names, but I've never cracked it open. I had no idea what was going on with them. So it was an exciting journey into comic history for me.
Yeah. Is it spoilery? I feel like starting with this question isn't going to be too spoilery because we do these like very like curved. So should overall you feel better or worse about these books than the Image books?
I think that a lot of the Image books were like so startlingly middle of the road boring, and I think that at least every single one of these books was really gripping. Like they all
Yeah.
felt like they lived in very unique worlds. And I
I've
think
always
that that
thought that Valiant
was
has like a very good style to it. Like it
Mhm.
feels like it has this like identity as a universe, which is one of the
Yeah.
cool I think things about Valiant. So yeah, I when I talk about like 90s comics, I think Valiant's more of the vibe. Again, really only Exo Manowar in terms of things that I've actually read, but vibe wise, I like Valiant quite a bit.
And when I talk about not really liking 90s books, Valiant isn't the it isn't so much the typical 90s book that I'm
Yeah.
referring to when I say that.
I think Valiant was very much the like anti-night, at least at the start, before they fired Jim Shooter and then tried to be more like Image. I think at least at the start they were very much like the anti-Image publisher, like we're the alternative, like we're the
Mhm.
other thing. But yeah, do you want to take people through the tiers before we get into this?
Yes, we have 5 tiers, for these books to shoot for. At the very top, we have Timeless Tales. Just beneath that, we have Shooter Scores. Then we have A Valiant Attempt. Then Timu Marvel. And at the very bottom, we have Valley Ain't.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna start off here with Magnus Robot Fighter. You wanna take it away here, Katie?
Yeah, I can take it away. So it's incredibly funny to me that Magnus Robot Fighter is exactly what it says on the tin. It's like,
Oh
okay,
yeah.
this is a man who's just fist fighting robots, and I don't know what I expected going into it, but I was like, oh, it is just a guy fist fighting robots. Um,
It's
but
also a boy raised by a robot,
yeah,
which
a
I love.
roast
I
by a
love
robot who rejects his own validity as an alive creature,
Yeah,
which
which
is
is
really
weirdly more
fascinating.
like nuanced and intriguing than one would expect out of this book.
Yeah, and it's something that I think manifests throughout the book as well, especially when we get to that big end piece. And the thing that made me go from, oh, this is, I mean, because it's not exactly a good thing for something to be exactly what it says on the tin. It's like, I would like there'd be a little more
Yeah.
to it. When we got to the end and he had his big fight with the like horde of robots, and he was
Yeah.
clearly
The part with
questioning
Luke.
his role in this, and then once they nearly killed his girlfriend, I was like, oh, this is like a step up. Like
Yeah.
this is an elevation of this first issue. If it didn't have the, I'm gonna say death, I think that she's alive and just in critical condition, but if it didn't have like the death of his girlfriend, I don't think I would have liked it as much as I ended up liking it. That being said, I don't think that it was a super uh fantastic issue. I think that a lot of it was laying this groundwork so that they could kind of pull the rug out, but it gets a little muddy when Magnus has this little kind of spastic arc in it where he's like, oh, robots are evil. Are robots maybe good? No, robots are evil. Are robots maybe good? It was, I feel like I didn't need him to go question, answer, then question again.
That's fair. I think we're gonna have our first disagreement right away. I love this. I thought this was phenomenal. I thought this was the best issue of the bunch right
That
off the
is
bat.
not what I was expecting from you.
Yeah.
Because you had
I loved
mentioned
it.
to me that there's one that you
Yeah.
thought was better than the
Yeah.
rest,
I
and I
thought it
was
was
like,
this
oh, I
one.
think I know what one he's talking about. And it
No,
was
it was
not
this one.
Magnus,
I thought
Robot Fighter.
Conceptually, I love his little robot dad that doesn't like believe his own sentience makes him alive, and I love the like line drawn between like sentience and like life, and I
Mhm.
thought that was pretty rad. I didn't think Magnus's arc was as like spastic as you put it. I thought it was much more like, oh, he questioned it, but then he gets like the not necessarily affirmation of his like father figure, but his father figure was like, no, don't, like, we're really not alive, and that like lets him push it down until it then like comes back up, and he's like, no, I really do have to question this. You mentioned the like near death of the girlfriend is really rad, and then I just thought the like whole robot like revolutionaries trying to like get their own freedom and all that going on, and they're still like pretending to be non-sentient robots because there are also non-sentient robots that are mature. I thought conceptually this was awesome. I thought it had, in my opinion, either like the second or third best art out of the Valiant books.
That's fair.
And I think Magnus is probably my second favorite like conceptual character out of these books. So yeah, this was my favorite of the books. I love this. I thought this was awesome.
I mean, fair enough. Yeah, I found it a little less exciting. Do we want to split the diff and throw it into shooter scores?
Yeah. We'll split the, which is really funny because I think this is either the only one of these or one of only two of these that isn't written by Jim Shooter.
Sorry, Shooter. All right, Jay, what's next?
Up next is Solar Man of the Atom, which I know is like one of the, I think, very hyped books from Valiant, but I gotta say to you, Katie, I thought this was bad.
I thought so too.
I do not like this at all. It's kind of just like this dude like drifting, and we're going back and forth. It's actually a lot like what is it, Dr. Weird, like conceptually.
Colonel Weird.
Colonel Weird, yeah. It's a lot like Colonel Weird conceptually, but not executed as well.
Yeah, I feel like this is one where I was like, I like a lot of the pieces that are here, but I feel like they were not put together well.
The execution was not there. It was even hard to follow at points to where I didn't
it was very
know,
hard
like,
to follow.
Yeah, I didn't know like which like not even tough pieces. The tough thing is that we're kind of only in for most of it one time period, but then there's just like two of him that are the like two time period. It was weird. It was weird.
The thing is, I feel like I could like that a lot. Like I could like that quite a bit. But then it was so they didn't do anything interesting with it.
No, it's like there's the drawn out thing of him like meeting the homeless people that they have a flip floppy arc on him, man. They're just like, we hate you, we love you, we hate you, we love you.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god.
Talk to Hattie.
Oh, that was actually the highlight of the book.
That I agree.
Yeah,
I was super not impressed by Solar Man of the Atom.
Valley ain't it.
This Valley ain't it for sure.
Yeah. But let's jump to every company. We had a bunch with Image, but every company in the 90s had their X-Men ripoff. So let's jump to ours here with Harbinger, and you can give me your thoughts here.
I'm not gonna lie, I like this less than Solar Man of the Atom. I feel like this. I think that the characters were all super annoying in a way that I didn't like any of them. I think
the dialogue's awful. Like that's I think the thing that really hit. The dialogue's awful.
And we read issue 1, which I believe, like you said, was the first one released. There is an issue 0 floating around.
Yeah, a lot of most of the Valiant books had issue 0s that you either assembled from the early books, or like once you bought a certain amount of issues, you could then get the issue 0. The issue 0s we read are ones that end up coming out before the first book. Whereas most of these you would have to read at least like 8 issues before you get the issue 0. So we started at issue 1.
Yeah, and this one I think just threw you in with maybe an expectation that you already got that issue 0, because I feel like the starting point of this book was, well, one, I think that it was a bit of a highlight, the starting point, when the chopper was chasing them and he was like flying the car around. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
this is interesting. But then I was like, wait, I get no context for this. And so I feel like as the book went on, I liked the characters less and less. I felt more and more confused by the world, and I felt less and less inclined to care about what was happening in the world to those characters. So it was a very rough one for me.
That's fair. I liked it better than so. I didn't find the world confusing at all. I felt like I was able to pick up on what was going on. A lot of because of like the like X-Men shorthand of like, oh yeah, we're there's a group of people that have powers. This dude is like the most powerful person. There's this evil corporation that wants to control the powerful people, so they're after him. And him and his girlfriend are going, and they're like recruiting new X-Men, whatever.
And see, like I think there's
I was able to.
I think there's a place for shorthand when you're doing things with like side characters. I don't think you should be using shorthand for your main characters for like the start of your plot. Like if you're
fair.
like, this is the shadowy government institution.
Yeah.
Sure, but don't just make me assume that it's a shadowy government institution.
No, and that's
based on not seeing the shadowy government institution.
I'm certainly not saying that this was amazing. I'm saying I thought it was much more follower than Solar Man of the Atom. I thought it had more, going for it than Solar. The dialogue was awful, and I felt like that's what made it feel so much worse, because I felt that the plot was way better than Solar. I thought that the characters conceptually actually were potentially interesting. Like the main character does very like Miss Martian from Young Justice, like where he's basically brain fucking people, and like
I believe he refers to it as brain raping, and I'm like, the fact that
I was hyped because now YouTube's gonna like bury this video.
It's over 10 minutes into it.
Oh yeah, but they don't like that word at all. They kill
well, you can
word.
beep it, baby.
Yeah, I might have to beep that word's a big no on YouTube.
But he continues to do it after he's been asked not to by people, which is what really got me. It's like Miss Martian did it because it was like a cultural thing for her.
No, she does it after that. It's like a whole plot point. It's why Superboy breaks up with her.
That's fair. I did forget about that because she does do it at first as well, and they're like, "Hey, don't do that."
No, I was talking more about later on where she starts kind of going ham with it. But yeah. My point is, I thought that this had a lot more in theory going for it. There's the girl who's super into superheroes and
Faith.
It's funny. The big dude wasn't particularly funny, but
no.
he was there.
He was there.
I feel like personally, this is definitionally Team Marvel. Like this is literally a poor attempt at X-Men.
I hated every character in that book.
Which I feel like was a dialogue thing, which like is fair.
I don't know. It was... Also in their actions.
What did the superhero fan chick girl do?
Faith?
Yeah.
She was being she was being incredibly creepy towards Sting.
That's fair.
But next up,
a lot of the dialogue though, I don't feel like it was all intended to be creepy. Is the problem?
I mean, maybe
they did not know how to write teenagers. Was the problem?
Yeah, or knew how to write teenagers too well.
Yeah, it may be fair.
But Jay, we have the book that you are very, very familiar with, which is X-Men Man of War Next.
Yes. This is, in my opinion, the best art of the Valiant books that we read. I really, really like the art in this issue. I think the X-Men Man of War suit is rad. I did somewhat forget like how, I guess, little progress we kind of make in this issue, which is my like kind of gripe with it. It's a little bit I don't know, stationary. It does some weird things. It's mostly him like going around with this weird dude who's like
Makes
who
him
does
weird,
also end up dying because because that's a Valiant thing. Like gotta kill somebody in the first issue. Though this one's dead.
This one's dead. and
This
we
one says,
didn't have much of an emotional bond to her.
I was talking about the dude, the weird dude who dies at the
Oh,
very
he's
end.
not dead.
He's dead. Yeah, he dies in that final scene.
I thought he was taking him to go get help.
And he gets like, and then they have the fight, and he dies, doesn't he?
No,
Oh
no,
man,
he takes him away at the end of the fight. And he's like, oh, Growling, it's my St. Bernard.
I don't know why I thought he died of that. Anyway, I can't remember this. Anyway, what was I gonna say? Yeah, this was like fine. Is basically where I land. I do think it has again the best art of the early Valiant books, which have like very basic art for the most part. Whereas this has some cool action sequences. But yeah, it's a I think just very like solid, fine first issue. It should have moved more, but it lays enough groundwork that like I'm on board with Arik.
That's fair. Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of this one. I feel like it's a tough sell being inside the head of a fish out of water who's like that
I actually
far
really
out
like
of
the
water.
captions. I think the captions are great. Like Arik character stuff. They're very funny to me.
I don't know that they were supposed to be funny. Like I think it was fine. I liked the way one, I thought what I do think was supposed to be funny. I loved that he like picked up a little bit of Spanish and he was like saying gracias and amigo as his shorthand. I did like that a
That
lot.
was hilarious.
And I do think that was supposed to be a little funnier. And I like the idea of him like, you know, realizing the power of the ring and like the suit adapting to the wearer of the ring, and so it was able to like fight its way out of the containment. But I found outside of the like initial fight on the alien spaceship thing, because I think that was really interesting. I found the rest of it a little repetitive and samey, like you're saying, it didn't go very far. But I'm happy to throw it in a valiant attempt.
It was a valiant attempt.
It was a valiant attempt.
But next up we have Shadow Man.
Which I'm gonna rip the band-aid right off and say this one was actually my favorite. I feel like conceptually I really liked it. I like the amount of intrigue that was in it. I like that it was, and I don't think this is a ding on the other ones, but I did like that it was a little more grounded than a lot of the other ones. Like I think there's one other one that maybe is kind of similarly grounded, but then I guess does go off the deep end towards the end once you learn some things about the characters. But I really liked it. I loved the like I love a jazz club setting. I think that that's such like a good aesthetic thing. I love a vampire bitch. Like I think that there was a really solid story in this first issue that then set up where the series was going. And I don't know that a lot of these first issues were trying to be a really good story in the first issue as much as they were really just doing setup for where everything was going. So I really liked this one.
I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I don't know that I'd say it was my favorite of all of them. I think it's solid. I like I feel like to me the first half of the issue is much stronger than the second half. You get like kind of almost a good
That's
like not necessarily anthology story, but like this like nice little narrative of him meeting this woman who turns out to be this like evil demon monster thing, which gives him like his like spark of this is that's his inciting incident, if you will. I also find it utterly hilarious that he just finds his mask on the floor and
right, literally a discarded party favor.
And it's just like, but it's not even like they decided to draw the street like littered with stuff so it'd be like, oh, it makes it like no, it's just there like the one mask, and he like goes, picks it up.
And he's like, this is probably some fucking tourist thing.
I love that. That was hilarious. But then we kind of like get
very Batman of Serenade
with the demon, which is actually the image of the cover with that dude, which I thought was just kind of like, okay, it's fine. We don't really get any I don't know, good reason for him like being able to like fight or do any of this stuff. So
that's fair.
That was my like kind of main character thing with this one. Like, he is, I think, one of my least favorite main characters conceptually, because I don't think there's that much interesting about him that makes me go like, yes, he's rad.
That's fair.
In the
I
way
think
you
that
think
maybe
like
that's
Magnus
it was
or
a real
Arik are
breath
rad.
of maybe it was a breath of fresh air for me when reading these, because all of these characters are like, I am here. It's about me. I am very bold and loud and brash with my characterization. I was like, oh, okay, things
That's
are
right.
happening too this time.
I thought it was a solid issue though, but
Yeah.
yeah, I thought it was fun.
I'd
I
fight
thought
for it to go in shooter scores.
Well, we can put it in shooter scores.
Hell yeah. Putting it above Magnus, but that's fine.
I am, yeah.
Or below, rather.
Yeah.
I'm excited for inevitably at the end of this, when we rearrange our tier list, for us to just scooch both of those up one. Where it's like,
I think that's what's
guess
gonna end up happening, because otherwise we're probably gonna have a blank top tier.
Which, maybe that's just how it's supposed to be.
Well, maybe that is how it's supposed to be.
But next up is Rye.
Yeah.
Jay, did you know anything about Rye?
I know that he has like that really iconic cover that I thought was the issue 1 cover, but is actually the issue 0 cover, which I realized when I went on to the issue 1 to read it. I know that he has that very iconic cover. That's like his silhouette. That's about all I know about Rye up until this issue, and now I know like his basic premise, which is like these warring clans and a weird amount of attachment to a grandmother. It was honestly very like the original. You remember the original theatrical Justice League where Steppenwolf kept like saying mother, like there was like actually a mother to the mother boxes. It was very much like that, where they're all like grandmother.
I was just so immediately floored with it. Like, yeah, aliens came and the entire nation of Japan went to, it was yoinked up. And now is in space.
I love the visual of that from the exterior, though. It's like this, like, oh, I love that. Weirdly, I don't know what, because I've seen like images of Rye in Modern Times. They did a bad job with his design, and that like he does not look good in this book.
No.
And I feel like
think
he looks
that the
much
people
cooler
in
like
this book are not my favorite part of the art in this book.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. That being said, I do think there's some interesting stuff here. I like the idea of like, oh, he has, he doesn't want to be attached to one of the warring clans, but his ex-wife and his child are, on one side of the warring clan.
Yeah.
Like that's a nice little intrigue type thing. I do feel like the fact that we don't necessarily resolve that, but we get like, I think, way too far into the resolution of that for issue 1, where he makes an alliance with that side of the conflict by the end of the first issue. So I feel like that's probably gonna like, I don't know, kill some of the intrigue of the book if you were to read forward, where it's like, oh well, now he's just kind of on the same side as his wife and child. That's less interesting than him trying to be like the impartial. The thing is, it's like the thing that I think like is what makes it interesting is essentially it's a war where he wants to be a superhero and not a soldier on one of the sides of the war, which I think is very cool conceptually. I don't know if they nailed any of the execution of it, but I think it's very cool conceptually.
Yes, agreed. I think that it's also, I really liked the fight with the big grandmother bot. I liked a lot of the fights in this one. Like, they had good, like, big set pieces.
I thought the dialogue, though, with the fight with the big grandmother bot was, a little rough. Anytime that they start talking about the grandmother, it's like, oh. They also make the grandmother bot out of, like, the grandmother's, like, DNA or...
Out of her drones. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's literally made of metal. But I liked the cutaways to the current Rye's father. I thought that those were charming.
I agree.
And I really liked the way that he talked to the fish at the end, and he was like, you got away. Maybe you have troubles of your own. Maybe you have a son. You know what? I like you, former Rye dad.
Also, like when the guy comes to him and he's like, you've gotta like take over. So he's like, nah. It's like, I trust him. He's right now. It's like, that's a very good, like, retired hero vibe.
Oh yeah. So I liked that quite a bit. I feel like this is one of the ones where there was a lot of good kind of close personal world building,
Yeah,
where I'm like, okay, I feel like there is like a really strong cast around this. Like with a lot of
agreed.
the other ones, a lot of the side characters felt almost incidental. Um, and so I'm like, I'm glad that in this one, I feel like his wife is a really strong character. I feel like his dad was a
Agreed.
really strong character.
Yep.
Uh, so this is also another one that had a good kind of story in the first issue, as opposed to just build up in to the
Yeah,
big stuff.
that's very fair. Yeah.
So I actually quite liked Rye. Where would you put it?
I would put it in Valiant Attempt. And maybe if we scoot the other two up to to Timeless Tale, it can also get a little curving.
Perfect.
Unless you have disagreed
No,
with
that's all
something.
right. That's all
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
We've got 3 left.
yeah.
What's next?
Do you want to talk about Archer and Armstrong?
This one is pretty wacky. Like
It's wild. It's buck wild.
at no point did I know where this story was going to go. Um
They
and
swerve
like
you real hard, like halfway through. They're just
yeah,
like, "Oh yeah, my parents are actually already in prison, and they got put in prison like a week after they tried to kill me."
I like that that's the swerve instead of he like goes to a monastery. That's the swerve instead of like, oh, this is his immortal friend who people think are Satan. There are a lot of swerves in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of the things are like in theory, but they like track for the idea of like, oh, it's this like
That's fair.
spiritual, warrior type book. The idea of the like inciting villain that he's like does all of his training to take down, just already having been taken down like right after he left is like a wild,
That is super fair. I
thing to
like it
me.
a lot, especially because the monks were like, hey, don't do revenge. Revenge is bad. So I like that he's like
Finger
denied his
wagging off.
revenge in a way that
Yeah,
doesn't let him like learn the lesson, right?
yeah,
Because it's like it's not his choice to not get revenge. It's like, oh shit, they're already getting revenged. I do think this one might have had my least favorite art of all of them. I didn't love the way that the characters looked. Um, and I don't know that I was super. I feel like by the end of the book, I wanted to like the dynamic between Archer and Armstrong more. And
yeah.
they didn't really get to interact in a way that felt substantial. Uh,
No, we kind of end, and I think it's because this is where we reach the point of like
leading
the
into
crossover
Unity.
stuff with the Unity started happening because this stuff, like the ending moment of this, is basically picked up on immediately
Yeah.
in Unity. So like I think we start getting that connection. Though, actually, we didn't talk about like Rye actually had some cool connection stuff, which I actually really like. Like Rye
Yeah.
has an exo suit in it. Or I guess a Man of War suit, not the XO. And it has like robots from like Magnus Robot Fighter, which
Mhm.
I thought those were cool connections. This is where the stuff starts getting really connected because Armstrong is literally Eternal Warrior's brother.
Yeah.
So that then all threads through Unity. So these last 3 books are like really connected to where maybe
Mhm.
it's like a detriment to
really
when you're
coming
just trying to
together.
read like a couple things. But
How'd you like it?
yeah, I thought I thought it was fun. It's buck wild, which I feel like lets you kind of like take a step back and be like, oh, this is just like really funny and entertaining. Like you've got this guy. It's almost to a level of like satire of like the spiritual warrior type
I
trope, where it's like
agree.
where he is just like, oh yeah, like I was a child who believed in God, and so I never missed anything. And then later on, he's like, actually, it was the belief in myself that let me do that, and not the belief in God. And I also really find it hilarious that like early on in the book, he's like, sometimes I get into this mode where I can't miss, but I'm not always there. But we only ever see him never missing, and
Well,
so
because it starts on the night when uh when he's killed by his parents. Suddenly he's constantly locked in.
yeah, but it's just very funny that like we have this specific mention that there was a point where it only sometimes happened, but we never see that. Which is
Well,
very, very
clearly
funny.
it's because something's gonna happen to shatter his self-confidence. And he's
then
gonna
he'll go
start
back.
missing all the time.
But yeah, I find it like it's just wild turn after wild turn where it's like, okay, he's got like creepy, culty, religious parents, and they're like abducting people, whatever. And then it just turns to like, okay, now they're gonna murder their son because he found out. And then he's like, well, now he's gonna, escape the hospital instead of just telling the hospital staff that his parents tried to kill him. And then he goes to a monastery.
He somehow makes it to Asia.
Yeah, it's weirdly a very Batman origin in like a very funny way.
Yeah,
I feel like
it
basically is pointing out the absurdity of Batman's origin in like an extremely streamlined timeline. It's like Pan's death immediately to monastery, but then he comes back and it's like, oh, nope, can't actually take revenge on them, so you gotta take revenge on everybody. I feel like Armstrong is a little bit, like you said, like we don't get much of their relationship. He feels a little bit tacked on for this first issue, which again, it's a first issue of an ongoing, so like I get taking an issue to introduce one character and then maybe, I guess the Eternal Warrior book actually is kind of our Armstrong introduction.
I think the tricky thing is just the book is called Archer and Armstrong.
Yeah. But yeah, I find this book incredibly entertaining. I don't know that it does everything, perfectly, but I think it is a fun read.
I think it's very tonally different than a lot of the, like, it feels like you're saying, it feels like there's a little bit of satire in there. It feels like there's more humor in there. Oh no. Well,
I feel like it's the way that I found Aric's captions funny, but just like extrapolated to the entire book.
That's so fair, which is unfortunate. I think it's a valiant attempt.
I agree. I feel like it's my favorite. I might have liked Rye a little bit more.
I like Rye demonstrably better.
Okay, well, we'll do that.
Thank you.
Ugh.
But then we have the big crossover.
We do. You talked about I'm trying to think of the book now. Oh, Harbinger not really placing you in it. This is the issue 0, and then it really fully placed us in this.
This one clearly wanted you to have read, and like I think by design, I think the intent with Valiant was that you were supposed to read every single book.
Yeah.
And it's like this definitely needed you to read at least issue 2 of Solar. Because
Solar is so central to this.
Yeah.
Which with him being, I think, our least favorite book is a little bit of a rough thing on on this book. It's a little wild too. Like they're all just called into a phone booth and it's like, we're here now.
And it's also wild to, I don't know when it released. I'm assuming that the list that you had sent me was in like essentially release order. It's wild to read this before reading Eternal Warrior because it introduces the concept of geomancers with nothing around it. It's like, oh, this kid's a geomancer.
Literally, at the end of Unity, you will see that it like checks off Unity 0, and then it says read Eternal Warrior like as the next step of the event. So yeah, no, this goes right before Eternal Warrior. I actually originally had Eternal Warrior first in our order, but then when I saw that like they were both part of the Unity event and like Unity came first, I'm like, well, I'll switch them because in my mind it's like, oh, let's do all the solo books and then the crossover. But I was like, no, okay, it's important,
the intent was,
so we'll do it like this. But no. You're absolutely right. It's very weird because we don't even know like who Eternal Warrior is. It doesn't like we don't then know because of that we don't know like much about Armstrong either. It's very weird to have this
very weird.
But yeah.
And like very weird to have the expectation that somebody is reading every single Valiant book.
I think you gotta think it was the 90s. Like comics were very popular. It was actually like very much a thing that people were reading every single Valiant book.
I guess.
And that was like the whole thing about it. Like I think that was why they were somewhat successful because they made it this thing where like, oh, all of the books interconnect and cross over. People were reading all of them, and like that was that's
crazy.
How they sold it.
Because like if I was if the year was 1992 right now and we had just read all of these, I'd be like, well, there are 4 of them that I'll keep reading.
Well, you would have already been on like issue 4 of one of them by the next time the issue.
I wouldn't have even picked up issue 2.
You would have picked up issue 2 of Magnus Robot Fighter? That's so upset. I also think that it's it's either Solar or Rai. One of them starts as a backup, actually, I think, in Magnus Robot Fighter, and then has its issue 1.
Wild.
So, yeah. We didn't get to read the backups of, like, whichever book that was, so we definitely hurt whatever book that was by not having I think it's Rai, actually. I think it's Rai, if I remember correctly.
Rai is another one that does a little, like, it gives you a little bit of overhead, but it does kind of drop you in.
Yeah, so that might have had a few stories that we didn't get to read because of, you know, the nature of the beast. But yeah, Unity, I feel like some of it is on us not having read everything. But also I don't think it works. I think it's pretty rough.
Quite rough. And it, like, doesn't have a lot going on in it.
No, it doesn't.
Like, it's not even like, oh, we didn't, you know, get all the context for this, but at least there's, like, cool stuff happening. A lot of it is just gathering forces. And, like, in its defense, I did like this stuff about Erica. I think that there was interesting stuff going on there with, like, her killing herself in this universe so that she can then be, like, I don't know, Erica Prime. And, like, I like that she abducted her son. I think that's fun. In the story, to be clear.
No, Katie's very pro-abduction.
I'm very pro-abduction. So I think there were, if it wasn't so intent on being a culmination of a bunch of books, I think there might have been something there that would have been fun to explore. But, you know. I would put it above Solar, actually.
Okay, we'll put it above Solar.
Yeah.
Because at least it has other characters. It's not
at least
just
there's other characters.
But finally, we reach Eternal Warrior.
Yeah, which I'm not gonna lie, I thought this one was gonna be your favorite.
Yeah, I mean, I do like Ancient Warriors.
Yeah, and I think that was a lot of it. I was like, this one's so right up your alley.
That's also why I like Arik. He's also an Ancient Warrior.
Yeah. But he's an Ancient Warrior in ancient times.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked this one a lot, actually. Like, this one was my second favorite of them. I think that there was a lot of good character work. I think the dynamic between, I'm forgetting the Eternal Warrior's name.
His name is
it's Gil. It's Gilid.
Yeah.
Between Gilid and Aram, which is Armstrong before he, you know, becomes Armstrong. I really liked their dynamic. I really liked their relationship with their father. I think that this was the one that I think had the strongest characterization for the characters that they put in front of us. And that made it, like, really appealing to me. Because I was like, oh, I actually really care about the fact that their families were slaughtered in this great battle. I actually really like that it's Gil's ego that kind of makes this happen. That he's like, oh yeah, we can't be happy with just being here. But I also like that there was a little bit of, you know, practicality with that. It's like, okay, we have to, you know, forage during the winter. How are we going to feed everyone? So there's a lot of good stuff going on here. And it felt like a really good introduction to the character. And I really liked that a lot of it was through his relationship with his brother.
Yeah, who, though, importantly, is probably not going to be a part of the book moving forward.
Yeah, I don't know when the book is supposed to be set. Because I'm assuming in the modern day, so maybe he is.
Yeah.
Like, now that they've reconnected.
Yeah, but his brother's the main character of Archer and Armstrong, so...
They're all connected, Jay.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be the main character in 2 books.
No, I don't think so either. I do think that it gave a lot of good groundwork for Gil.
No, I agree. Their relationship is, I think, very, very strong. I have the slight knock of giving Armstrong's origin in a different standalone series.
I consider that a knock to Archer and Armstrong, not to...
That's fair. No, I actually really liked their father. I thought that he was rad. Yeah, I think it benefits to some extent to being like a much simpler plot than a lot of the other books. Like, okay, we have Ancient Warrior brothers. They're both immortal for some reason.
Because they have the spirit of life in them, dude. Yeah. Come on. The Geomancer said.
once again connects very strongly to stuff that Archer and Armstrong's doing with the it's all, some people are just, if you believe and you've got that, very funny. But yeah, it's able to focus on like the differences between the brothers and their relationship, and I think that allows it to be very strong. I think, the art, none of the Valiant art is really phenomenal. Like it's not, none of it's like stunning, but I think that this has some very like solid artwork in a lot of the fight scenes and a lot of like the more intense moments. So yeah, I thought this was. I didn't like think it was amazing because I don't think that it like, I don't know. I wasn't as bought into this book moving forward, I guess is what I'll say. Fair. As I was for some of the other ones. But I thought it was very solid. I thought that, it was well done for this issue.
Yeah, and I think that they did a good job transitioning between the eras for him. Like by the time we get to the modern era and he's like beating up biker gangs and clearly has some sort of like, I don't know, international spy, not really spy, but like secret agent status maybe. I think that all was intriguing enough to me, but very much less so than his like ancient life, for sure.
Yeah, fully agree.
I would put him at the bottom of shooter scores personally.
All right, I think that's fair. Do we want to rejig here a little bit?
I mean, honestly, I kind of feel like it fits that none of them hit the top tier because I don't know that any of them.
We're supposed to be doing things on a curve.
Oh, you're right. It is a curve. Okay, I think
not a top tier for the Image books.
I think scoot Magnus and Shadow Man up.
Okay.
And then maybe scoot Rye up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's good.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I think that's solid.
Yeah. And it's nice and
that
even.
Man is so ugly. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Very ugly.
I don't know if you've seen any like modern covers. I've definitely seen like modern covers. I feel like he looks very cool now.
I have not. I'll look him up after.
I don't know how they missed with like.
Sometimes
maybe
you
he
just
doesn't
have to
hair now.
Stuff.
It might be the hair.
Dude, the hair on Shadow Man really got me because it came out of nowhere. It was a fucking Nightwing ponytail.
Which Archer also at one point has like the crazy ponytail, which I found very
hilarious. Believe Archer presently has.
Does he still have the ponytail? I thought he lost it after the monastery. Maybe he does still have it.
No, I think that he's like shaved head, but it's like not shaved head. It's just like
ponytail.
It's buzz cut with a little tiny ponytail.
Yeah. Hilarious.
But not on purpose.
Hilarious.
All right, Jay, let's go through these tiers. Who made it in the Timeless Tale?
We have Magnus, Robot Fighter, and Shadow Man in the top tier. Then in Shooter Scores, we have Eternal Warrior and Rye. In Valiant Attempt, we have Archer and Armstrong and XO Manowar. In Timu Marvel, we have Harbinger. In Valiant, we have Unity and Solar Man of the Atom.
Overall, now that we've kind of gone through all of them, I'm going to ask you the question you asked me. How do you think these stacked up against the original Image books?
It's such an interesting thing. I do think these are better. Because I feel like they're at least, aside from Harbinger, they're trying to do different things. They're not just like, Timu Marvel. They
get points for originality.
Yeah. And like they're trying to tell, I think, more stories that have a bit more going on than the Image books. But yeah, the art of these books is not on the level of the Image books. So it is very much like each company was doing, I think, a different thing. Mm-hmm. I think that when you're already talking about like everything's at a like professional comic book level, I think that having mediocre professional level comic book art with like more interesting stories is going to be a more interesting read than having like some of the greatest comic book artists ever, but a lot of times utterly nonsensical,
actually bad stories.
Yeah, so I do think that this has a slight leg up. That being said, Savage Dragon might be better than anything, so Image might have the best overall book.
I think so too.
Yeah. But I think that this is more consistent and more intriguing to me, personally. But yeah.
That's super fair.
That's where I land.
But those are our thoughts on the kind of founding Valiant books. Make sure you check out our founding Image tier list from last month. And if you want to see us go through more Image books or more Valiant books, let us know down below in the
big
comments.
Valiant ones. I think Bloodshot's probably the second biggest Valiant character other than Exo Manowar, and he wasn't in the first year. So
yeah,
well, he's got a movie. None of these guys got movies. But I don't think any of these people have movies. There might have been a Riot thing at some point, but I don't think so. Bloodshot had a movie, so if you want to see
fact check us
Bloodshot,
and let us know in the comments.
But yeah, that's all we got here. Let us know any other ideas for tier lists you have. We're always looking out, and as always, we hope to see you next week. Comic Geeks.